Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, Matt Mallory, back from the New York studio. Matt, thanks for coming along for the ride today, man.
Glad to be here, man. Always good to be on the show.
So it's September 1st. It's the date that the new New York law concerning concealed carry takes effect. And it almost didn't take effect, except for I was just reading a judge in New York. There was a Gun Owners of America lawsuit that was up yesterday, and a few hours before the law was supposed to take effect, the judge says, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss this. And the reasons he gave were kind of iffy. You want to go into that?
Yeah, so Scuddaby, something like that's his name. The judge here, the district judge, district judge, said he didn't have jurisdiction. So he decided to dismiss the case because he didn't have jurisdiction. Now, I guess there's a bunch of feedback he gave in his decision that is supposed to help us in the future as far as being able to, I should say, Gun Owners of America to be able to take the case further in another court or something. But it was just really weird. And then there was a post on the U.S. District Court's website or Facebook page saying that as of that morning, like 8 hours prior when I saw it, so it was right, early morning, late morning, that he was replaced. And thanks for his 7 years of service. To me, it's like, I don't really wear a tinfoil hat, but I'm thinking to myself, this sounds really weird. Like he's replaced, he retired, he quit, he got replaced. I don't know, but he's no longer in the position. And then later that evening at 7:48 p.m., which obviously the law goes into effect at midnight that evening, he says he doesn't have jurisdiction. Does he not have jurisdiction because he's been removed from that position? I don't get it. It's confusing. I don't know enough about the judicial system in that side of the house, the court side of the house, or the judge's side in the district courts to be able to answer fully on it. But it just, to me, layman, thinking it doesn't make sense. It sounds fishy. A lot of people think it sounds fishy.
Yeah, something smells a little off there. If he's replaced in the afternoon and still rules that even, or is dismissed in the afternoon, still rules that evening. Yeah,
you think he would, right? Like he wouldn't be able to, if he was replaced, he wouldn't even been able to rule on it. We'd think, but he doesn't have jurisdiction. Why wouldn't you say right off the get go, well, hey, I don't have jurisdiction on this case, so I'm not even going to hear it, or hearing it right off the get-go when Eric Pratt flew in here to Syracuse to actually go and testify in front of the judge to talk to the judge about it. At that point, you'd think the judge would say, listen, I looked into this. I don't have jurisdiction. This is the wrong court. Immediately versus waiting until 7 something at night before it goes into effect hours later. And now, we got counties now in New York State, like Onondaga County here where I live. They literally posted this morning, I think like 8 o'clock, one of my students sent me a screenshot from their website saying that anybody who's applying going forward, effective immediately, is only going to get issued a premise license if they've only done the 4-hour class, which I teach. And then if they want a concealed carry license, then they're going to have to take the rest of the training, 18 hours. They put 16, which they're wrong. It's 18. They have to take the full training, and then submit that to the judge to get the restriction removed.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, out of the blue. And when I've been talking to my contacts and the judge, one of the judges here in the county, numerous times about what are we doing? Where are we going? Is there anything? No, just keep doing what you're doing. It's in litigation, so it's like we're not going to treat it like it's even going to happen. And then boom, well, because the litigation got dropped, they flipped just like that.
So
wow.
As things sit at 6 p.m. on September the 1st, the law has supposedly taken effect. Well, the law has taken effect.
Right.
Can you get a concealed carry permit in New York? And what does the process look like? How is the training even defined right now?
Yes, training's defined on August 23rd, the New York State Troopers. So back it up even more. Back in July 13th, I think it was, I called DCGS. And prior to that, I called the governor's office. I called the senator who sponsored the bill, left messages, sent emails, not a single response. So then I finally got a hold of DCGS back on July 13th. And they told me that we're creating the course in conjunction with the New York State Troopers and with NCON. And I'm like, okay, great. When's that going to be out? Supposed to be out before September 1st. Like, okay, great. Um, then we get this email or this message PDF that the state troopers put out, basically saying this is the guidelines for what you have to teach. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought we were teaching what you gave us, what you're going to give us. So what I'm thinking happened is DCGS and the state troopers and NCON just said, yeah, we don't have the time for this. We got better things to do. We'll just let the instructors do it. So they basically said, this is what's got to be covered, which was already spelled out in the law. They just put it in a nice PDF and bulletized it for us. So on the 23rd, I started creating a course. And basically, it's taking a bunch of courses that I teach. It's 5 in total, 4 that I already taught, and then 1 extra with the live fire qualification, which is a joke. We can talk about that. And then I started putting together. I created a little punch card, yada yada yada. And then on the 27th of August, just this past weekend, Saturday, I think that was, they came out with another PDF, a 9-page. So the one on the 23rd was 4 pages, and this one they just came out with on the 27th, 9 pages long, going into frequently asked questions is what it was, because there's a lot of questions. So that did help demystify some stuff and who has to take the training, who doesn't have to take the training. The problem is every county's reading this differently. I got 2 counties right now, Onondaga and Madison, they say it's 16 hours long. Yet all the other counties I've talked to says that it's 18 hours long. And I read it as 18, and 4 or 5 other instructors in the state that are pretty well-known instructors that teach currently is 18 hours too. 16 hours of classroom, 2 hours of live fire. So, all that being said, you got counties that aren't even interpreting it correctly. So I called back DCGS today and talked to my contact again and put some of my thoughts in there. And he said he's going to pump that up the chain and see if they can get another frequently asked question PDF sent out with a lot of these questions to make sure that they're answered correctly and they define it better so that there's no confusion.
Okay, so there is a way if somebody living in New York wants a concealed carry permit or whatever New York's term for it is, right now they can contact you or possibly other trainers, and there is a path for that to happen.
Yes, there is a path, and every county's different how they handle that. Technically, it's just got to be an NRA instructor, 4-H instructor, hunter education instructor, current officer in the military, or firearms instructor in the military, or the 4 different categories that could teach it. So military, NRA, hunter ed, or 4-H instructors are the only ones allowed to teach it, which a lot of law enforcement who've taught it now can't teach it based on the law. So there's a lot of bent people pissed off about that. But as of July of next year, they actually added DCGS in. So then July of next year, law enforcement can teach it. Maybe they did that because they're going to have all these law enforcement go out and start arresting people for felony, 4th degree felony charges for carrying in sensitive locations, which is another portion of this law. I don't know. Maybe that was their design. Like, law enforcement are going to be tied up too much, actually arresting all the good, legal, moral, prudent people in New York State that are, accidentally walked into Walmart to pick up some milk, and because Walmart sells alcohol, that's Class D felony right there. Yeah, don't pass out. You look sick thinking about it, but New York State, everybody out there, New York State really took a bullet for you guys, because this case that came forth in New York State by NYSERPA allowed a lot of other states to get concealed carry, get rid of the proper cause. I think it was like 13 states, but now New York State, we just got screwed because our politicians doubled down and spit in the face of the Supreme Court.
Well, temporarily, yes, they have.
True.
My boss is not done yet. GOA is not done yet. Firearms Policy Coalition is not done yet. There are a lot of us out here that are all barrels of blaring is what needs to happen here. Get a couple comments in here real quick and by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, if you're watching us on the Polite Society podcast, YouTube, or Facebook pages, go ahead and comment. We'll get your comments on the air. If you're catching us anywhere else, head to Twitter and tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet. And we'll get your comments. We'll get them on the air too. But George, let's start off the comments here. George says, "Greetings, Patriots. Are we still clinging to our Bibles and guns? You bet your bottom dollar we are." And then Michael says, "Even if you have a license to legally carry in New York City, you won't be able to do so. They want a buffer zone of 1,000 feet. So if you walk by or drive by any gun-free zone and are within 1,000 feet, you are technically breaking the law.
Yeah, I didn't see the thousand feet in there, but I wouldn't doubt it. This law is so complicated. I talked to my local assemblyman, and John Lamonda's locally here. I sold him beehives years ago, so we
Okay.
reconnected because of this. And yeah, he's like, it's crazy. It's insane. He can't get any answers. And I told him that I called the governor's office. I called the assembly or the Senate lady that sponsored it there, and he's like, yeah, you won't get any response from them. That it's by purpose to make it confusing, to make legal citizens get hosed up under the law and be charged so that they can strip good New Yorkers from being able to carry at all anywhere. So yeah, that I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't, like I said, I missed 1,000 feet, but I know that is with a school. If you don't have a license, a gun license within 1,000 feet of a school, then you could be charged. That's why you say, like, if you're in California, you don't have a gun license and you just drive anywhere, you could be charged being near a school.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean,
here in I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. There are a lot of schools here now. You're not allowed to carry inside a school building. That's a federal law. But yeah, if it were 1,000 feet from a school yard, goodness, I can't imagine where I could carry in Sioux Falls. The schools are everywhere.
yeah, I drove through there on my way to Washington. Well, through South Dakota.
Sure, sure.
Right down 90. It's so crazy. Go ahead.
I like George's comment he just came up with here. Let's see if we can get the politicians to give up their armed security details. If we have to go unarmed, man, it seems fair to me.
Right. I mean, these politicians are passing this, and they're not exempt. Which, okay, I'm glad they didn't exempt themselves, but they don't care. They got security. They got money to buy security. Their fences around their property and all the security systems they have.
I want to talk a little bit, if we could, and we didn't talk about this pre-show either, but I want to talk a little bit about the 2 hours of live fire that the people have to go through if they want to get a concealed carry permit. You are law enforcement in New York State, and is it similar? What a civilian has? How similar is the civilian test to what a law enforcement officer has to go through?
So I was talking to Zach or John from Zach's out in Eastern New York a couple days ago. Kevin from Zach Sports, and Kevin was saying that he was in a meeting with the Bruin, the trooper in charge that got sued by NYSERPA. He was in a meeting with him, and he basically said, "I don't want this to be that hard of a test for people to be able to pass." Prior to the CCIA law, there was no requirement for them to shoot by law. So he said he didn't want to make it so hard to people. So I commend him for that. It's like, okay, we want people to be able to handle the gun, show that they can do it safely, and somewhat hit what the heck's in front of them. It's a joke what this shooting qual is, which, whatever. I mean, I'm opposed to them making the law in the first place, saying that people have to take training, mandate that they have to take training. I want people to seek it out because they want to, because it does say well regulated, like right there, right? Mm-hmm. But 20 or 12 feet, 4 out of 5 shots have to hit the paper, and the size of the target is 25.5 inches by 11 inches in size. I'm going to do it on video with my eyes closed, one-handed, just to show how easy that is. And then I'll play the video in class just to say, if you do not shoot this course of fire with your eyes open, two-handed on the gun, pressed out in front of you like I'm teaching you, definitely need more training, but nobody should be able to fail the shooting qual. The shooting qual is going to be, 12 feet.
Yeah.
Right? 12 feet. Am I going to measure that from the muzzle or from where their feet are? Because that's actually probably 10 feet by the time they put their arms out?
Exactly.
Right? So 10 feet from the muzzle.
And not only that, if you are properly standing, I'm leaning out over my feet when I'm firing. So it's,
9 feet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tom Gibbons does say 86.2% of the encounters happen within 9 to 15 feet. So, it's on the low end, 9 feet, the low end of that spectrum. Yes, it's going to be easy. Now, the nice thing that they did is they did put it in there, and I see their thought process. They did put some thought process into it, so I commend them for that as well, is that non-lethal training ammunition can be used, so UTM and simunitions, because there's a lot of problems finding ranges. I'm doing all mine with UTM because now I can make sure that I can control. If somebody shoots me with UTM, unless they shoot me in the eye, which I'm going to have glasses on, everybody in the classes, I'm not going to die. It might feel like I'm going to die, but it hurt like hell, but I'm not going to die. Where if I happen to do even 22, now I got to go out because remember, people are coming to take the class to get their pistol license. They don't have a pistol license. Therefore, they don't own a gun. They can't legally. There's no way they can get a handgun. So I need to provide the guns and ammo. And if I'm going to have big, the size depending on the size of the class I have, which they didn't say that you couldn't have more than a certain amount, I'm still going to keep it safe. I'm probably not going to have more than 6 people on the line at one time shooting this qual, but that's right. I mean, 6 people on a live fire range, 6 is that's especially new shooters that aren't that good. That's a lot for one instructor. 6 brand new shooters. So UTM just makes it a little easier where if they, what would you say? And pop around into somebody, at least they're not going to die. And then they fail and go home and have to start all over again. So my live fire is at the very end. It's basically they go through, the way I've done it is going to be the New York Handgun Safety Course. It's 4 hours, what I already teach, because some counties are going to still require that for people to get the premise license, which is what they will get or can get if they don't want to carry concealed or concealed carry in public. Then after that, it's my 5-hour use of force class where I talk about decision making, trying to conflict de-escalation and stuff. And then they move into the USCCA CCHDF Concealed Carry Home Defense Fundamentals, which is 5 hours, or another elective for that would be the NRA Basic Pistol course, which is 8 hours, and I'll give 5 hours of credit towards the 18 with that one. So either of those courses talks about gun safety and mindset as well. And then from there, I do a 2-hour draw, shoot, and reholster. So we're doing holster work and teaching people how to draw and shoot at a target with laser guns. We're using CERTs, sponsor of my show. And then after that, it's the 2-hour live fire. And the last two, the draw, shoot, and reholster and the live fire, is 4 hours total with the two of them. That'll be like a one-time. I'll package them together, but technically it's 2 separate classes. And that's it. When they're done with all that, each class, they get a punch card and a certificate they can hang on the wall. And then at the end, they get one certificate that any county in New York State should accept that says they've completed the 18 hours of training. That's how I'm doing.
We get a couple comments in here again. We're getting a lot of comments, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
Michael says, Jerry Mikulik said it's easy. Okay, that's the edge case. I mean, really, Jerry Mikulik would. This guy auto fires a friggin'
beats a bump stock.
Yeah,
he's better than a bump stock.
He can rapid fire a. What am I trying to say? A 50 cal. I mean, come on.
Yeah. He's amazing. We've had Jerry on our show, and we've been on Jerry's show. Jerry's cool. I did a funny video. It was a spoof on his 50. Was 500 Smith & Wesson with a hot dog. He stuffed it in the cylinder gap and shot it. I did one with an ear of corn and my 45-70 revolver, my BFR from Car Arms. Matt's corny video.
Wow, 45-70 revolver.
One-handed.
And you still have a wrist.
I've shot it about 5 times one-handed, but yeah, my elbow's taken a little bit of beating on that.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Michael also says, but New York State, you can't shoot a handgun in New York unless you have a license. Is that?
That was true until today. They actually they amended the law, 265.20, section 7. I can't remember what letter. They amended the law, adding that you can now do it without the license because you're in the process of getting it. They actually had that in the law already, but there was a bunch of other stipulations. The training had to happen in your county. The judge had to approve it. Background check had to be done, blah, blah, blah. They've finited that a little bit more, so it's always been in the law. The only county that I know of that actually exercised that law was Chautauqua County out by Buffalo, and no other county did, because they're like, you're going to do a background check, you might as well just go through the whole process, get your pistol license, and then go shoot. Chautauqua said, no, we want them to shoot before we issue them a pistol license. So it was a 5-hour course, 4 hours of classroom, 1 hour live fire with both revolver and semi before they would get issued a pistol license in that county.
Yeah. One more, but bringing up Jerry. I mean, Jerry always gets the comments. I need to see if I can get Jerry on the show. Geez, that we'd never had the comments. I just set the comments to scroll, man. I wouldn't have to say a thing during the whole show. Mickey likes revolvers. He doesn't have to wait for the action to cycle. The man lives on a different plane of existence.
He does.
We all live in slow motion compared to him.
Yep. Yeah, Jerry's awesome.
There is one. I want to get to a couple more stories because we're 2/3 done with the show already. I do want to mention that a story that hit this one actually hit this morning. Uh, Let me go. Where did I the well? Doggone, I lost. I had too many darn tabs open. Uh, SAF. This one I was wrong. This one did hit 11:30 a.m. A new law in California aimed at preventing individuals from building their own firearms is now the subject of a lawsuit filed in federal court with Texas-based Defense Distributed teaming up with the Second Amendment Foundation in an attempt to overturn the law on Second Amendment grounds. The new lawsuit has First Amendment implications as well, however, since it takes on an effort by anti-gun politicians in the state to block lawsuits like this from being filed in the first place. The case, known as Defense Distributed versus Bonta, argues that AB 1621, which was signed into law by Governor Newsom back in late June, infringes on the Second Amendment rights of Californians by making it illegal to knowingly manufacture or assemble or knowingly cause, allow, facilitate, aid, or abet the manufacture or assembling of a firearm that is not imprinted with a valid state or federal serial number or mark of identification. Defense Distributed, which produces Ghost Gunner CNC machine, is directly impacted by the law, and even selling the machine to a California resident would be considered a violation of the statute in question. Just about there. SAF founder and executive vice president Alan Gottlieb says the new law has criminalized the long-standing tradition of private gun making and should be thrown out under the test laid out by the Supreme Court in its decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin.
Amen.
This and again, this is going to. We said this a lot. The wheels of justice turn slowly. This is going to take a while to get through, but this.
Yeah, my fear is like, is New York State going to do the same thing, or California going to do the same thing they just did? They're just changing the name of it. So now what is it? It's good moral character instead of being proper cause. I mean, they're just playing bait and switch. And in some sense, I say like we kind of do that with like the bullet button and stuff, where they say you got to have a gun that's that you got to load through the top. Well, now you do a bullet button to make it easier to. So I mean, we kind of the industry, I should say, basically makes it easier for us good people to be able to circumvent the law by still being legal with the law. So in some sense, when they change the name of what proper cause is. Put it back in the Supreme Court, where you should have said anything like proper cause or anything, whatever you call it, right? They should have made it more broad so that way they couldn't just do it. And hopefully they come back with it this time. And hopefully it happens too soon before the Supreme Court goes in another direction. Hopefully that the Supreme Court will actually make it a little more broad and knock down New York and California a little bit more another peg. Because if we did what they're doing, like, well, I don't believe in the law, I'm just going to ignore the law.
Yes.
It's criminal. So
we're going to be spending time in prison for that. Yes.
Yeah. If the rest of our lives, if these politicians can help it, how dare you ignore what we said? They forget they work for us. Which brings me to a point. When you were saying all that, it made me think of something. Does the Second Amendment Foundation have a rating, kind of like the NRA used to do back in the day? And I know there's some other organizations Clint's associated with. Do they have a rating for politicians? Because I really think then again, Governor Hochul, our governor here in New York, she was rated by the NRA as positive, right?
Yeah, she was. She used to be.
Yeah, used to be. Definitely not anymore. But is that something that they have or that you guys are thinking of doing?
Second Amendment Foundation does not. The Citizens Committee used to. I do not know if they're going to be doing that going forward. I can look that up, but I will not be able to look it up while we're on air.
Yeah, that's fine.
But SAF is the non-political arm. The Citizens Committee is the political arm. So,
it's good to know.
No, I do not believe that is currently something that is being done through the Washington Home Office. No,
because I get a lot of students and clients of mine asking, well, who should I vote for? I'm like, got to do your research, and that's always one I look at. What do they say, and then how do they vote? Because if they're saying, no, I'm pro-gun, but then they're voting for a assault weapon ban, I say that with quotes for anybody listening, then that's a concern. That's definitely, they're saying what you want to hear, but they're doing what they want to do. It's opposite of what they're saying.
Yeah. I with this, you can't build your own firearm. This is, look, it's very similar to, you can't build your own house. You gotta be a contractor to build a house, even if you're the one going to be living in it. It's very similar to that. Or taken to the extreme, you can't cook your own breakfast. You're not smart enough to make your own omelet. You gotta have somebody at a restaurant make it for you. They gotta make sure all the safety protocols are followed so you don't get sick.
Yeah. I know what I'm sick of. Politicians.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we got a couple more. I want to see if there's anything else you wanted to Pat. One more story I want to mention in passing. This one hit just a couple hours ago. Cam Edwards' story: New York-style restrictions on the right to carry will not be taking effect in California this week after anti-gun lawmakers failed to secure the votes necessary for passage, despite intense lobbying from Democrats like Attorney General Bob Bonta. SB 918 had majority support, but because the bill's sponsor crafted the measure to take effect immediately upon passage, it required a supermajority in the Senate and Assembly in order to pass. A vote early Thursday morning fell just shy of the supermajority, leaving Senator Anthony Portantino, I think I said that right, Portantino, to vow to try again next year. Gun control activists, however, are demanding Governor Newsom call a special session of the legislature in order to put new restrictions in place as soon as possible. I wouldn't put it above Newsom. I mean, I wouldn't put it beyond Newsom to call that special session because, look, it's not going to. It's not like he's worried about spending the state's money keeping a special session in there.
And didn't he win a recall? He
did
escape by in a recall, so he's can't buy that much. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like in New York here, with our governor, the special session that she called and then made the politicians wait around for like 12 hours, called them back on a special session, and she didn't even have the bill ready for them to sign. That pissed a lot of at least the conservative side of the House off, which they got a supermajority here in the state, just seething in Albany.
Well, the higher you get in the hierarchy, the more entitled they get, meaning their time is worth so much more than yours is. So governor's time is much, much more important than state senator's time. State senator's time, way more important than a state representative's time. So on and so forth.
It's all going to their head, my friend.
It is. We are right down near the bottom of the hour, man, so we need to think about packing it in. Before we do, though, plug Meet the Pressers, plug anything else you want to talk about, man.
Yeah, definitely. So Meet the Pressers, meetthepressers.com. We're on all the different social media platforms on YouTube. Check it out. We interview people who press triggers. So Clint Macro, co-host and now the producer only of the show, and I bring on guest co-hosts to bring on people that they know that haven't been on the show before. PSNED, Public Safety and Education, my training company. Ta-da! Go ahead and check that out. PublicSafetyAndEducation.com, teaching classes all over the country, predominantly instructor level classes, pepper spray, UTM, NRA, USCCA, and soon to be Taser. I'm going out to Arizona this month to get certified as one of the first master civilian instructors for Taser, and I'll be offering this little thing over here on the desk. That one. So anyway, check it out, psned.com.
Very cool. On my end, I want to encourage everybody, come join us tomorrow for the Friday training edition of the Bullet. And if you haven't yet, go to saf.org/GRPC and register for GRPC the end of this month, September 29, October 1, and October 2 in Dallas. If you absolutely cannot make it, I will be streaming it, but there's nothing like being there in person. If you can make it, please do make it. I'd love to see you there. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, everybody. And we will see